Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got card number 5 for you using the Winterwoods bundle. Now today with the thank you card I only used the stamp set. I haven't used the framelits. So here is the card and I was really happy how it turned out. I've done a bit of sponging and masking, which I'll show you just those techniques quickly so that you can see how I get such a smooth finish with all the sponged areas. Okay, so to start with I'm using Night of Navy cardstock, which is 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide and then scored at 5 1/2. And then what I did, I took a piece of Whisper White which measured 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8, and I just stamped using basic grey. I just stamped off the Whisper White. I did stamping off technique, and which I'll be doing for you later in the video if those that don't know what I mean by a stamping off technique. And I just stamped off the piece of Whisper White a little bit, and I thought that added enough for inside the card. So then I took a piece of Whisper White which was 5 3/8 of an inch by 4 inches, and you can see that I have masked a 2-inch circle using Eclipse masking tape. Now I get this off of eBay. It's not a Stampin' Up product, but I find it a lot easier than trying to use sticky notes. So I've masked my moon, and then I would take a scrap piece of paper, a sponge dauber, and I used pink flamingo ink. Now I'm not going to do it, I'm just going to show you. Now this is the technique that you use. So when those that don't know, don't go backwards and forwards like this with your sponge dauber. You go, so you're starting on your, and you're just going off, and you're just going off like that. And then you just start at one end of the card and just go straight across, and just go straight across. And then you would just go back into your ink pad and you just keep adding colour until you get the depth of the colour that you want. Okay, but I have gone ahead and done that to save time, so we will get that out of the way. So I have already positioned it onto my stamparatus. So this is the piece of Whisper White which I masked off and sponged it with Flirty Flamingo. Now I'm taking off the mask, and you've got that lovely beautiful clear moon. So we'll just pop that on there. So I've already positioned the trees. Now the trees I'm using are these ones here, and I'm just going to stamp off using basic grey. So I'll just pop that so I've got enough leverage underneath, and you will need a scrap piece of paper because we're stamping off, and you'll see what I mean by that if you don't know what I mean. So I'm just going to stamp up the stamp in basic grey. I want to get right into those grooves, but because we're using the stamparatus, it's not so vital because we can restamp. So I'm just going to put a piece of scrap, and I'm stamping off most of the ink, because I just really want this to be a shadow. Pressing down. So that mightn't be enough for you, but that's the effect that I was trying to achieve. So then what we're going to do, we'll just put that aside. So that's going to be the front piece of our card. And I'll just take that off. And then the other image that we're going to be using is the tree trunks, okay? So what I did was I just took a scrap piece of Whisper White and I sponged it in crumb cake. Just exactly the same method as I showed you previously with the sponge brayer. Then I'm just going to pop that up like that. And I'll just grab out that trunk. And then I would suggest that you stamp the first one on a piece of scrap paper. Now I'm going to use Merry Merlot. So I'm just going to stamp up those trunks. Now I know that what the depth of colour is, so I don't need to stamp off. Then I'm just going to move that over one time and stamp it up again with Merry Merlot, and down it comes. And I only want two sets, I only need two sets of trunks, okay? So we'll pop that over there. So then what I did then was I just cut this in half. So I cut up the middle of the set of 3 trunks and cut that end, and then just cut that end off. So I cut it down to the size that was appropriate for my card. And then what I've done is I've backed it onto a piece of Night of Navy. Okay. So then what we'll do, our next step, is we're going to apply some ribbon. So hopefully I want the ribbon to go over the bottom of the trunks, so they're not just sitting in midair. So hopefully I'm just going to pop that on. I don't put any on the front, and that's going to go across quite nicely. So you can see there, I just wanted to cover the bottom of the trees, is what effect I was trying to get. And I'm just pressing that down onto the tear and tape. And that's our next step. And then what I'll do is I will glue that onto the front of our, actually I will do the greeting first, is what I will do. I should have taken that off. Okay, so the greeting is coming from the painted glass stamp set. Now these stamp sets are all available until the end of May 2019. So I'm just going to position that there. And I'm just going to have that at the top of the moon, and I just want to I'm going to stamp it in just a black so that it really stands up against that flirty flamingo. And I might just make sure that I've got that nice and straight. Just a quick stamp will do, yep. I always like to check because nothing worse than having to start from scratch. So I hope you're enjoying this series of using the Winter Woods bundle. So we just have one more card to do after this one. So that's got the nice thank you on there. And it's a quite nice vibrant black too. You can use Memento black, it will do the job as well. So then I am going to glue that onto the front of my card. So I've saved a lot of time by doing the sponging off camera because it does take a while when you're sponging such a large area. So then we're just going to pop that onto there, and so try not to put too much glue on because otherwise it will ooze out and you'll end up with glue all over. So I think that's quite a pretty colour. It complements the Night of Navy very well. So now I'm going to pop that one, which I'll turn the card round to do. I'm just going to pop that. Layering in this mat in this way, it really does add a lot to your card. And just remember, you've got so many sentiments and all those other lovely Stampin' Up stamp sets that you can use as well. You don't have to just use, you know, from the Winter Woods, and that's the ideal of me showing you that you can use this bundle all year round. So then I'm going to put that down there. So I've just backed some dimensionals on the back to save some time, and I'm just going to buff that up onto the next piece here, because we put this one down flat and we brought this one up, and you can just use whatever shapes that you want to do that. Now the other stamp set I'm using is A Good Day, and I'm using Just Because. So I just stamped that out on a 1.5 inch circle punch, and I just used my Flirty Flamingo stamping blends. Now the stamping blends are an alcohol marker, and you have a nib at one end and a brush at the other end, and I just used the nib. It was very quick just to colour in round the outside there, so that was very quick to do. So I'm going to pop that on there. So I want to just put 2 dimensionals on one side, because that gives it the height on this side where we glued it flat to the card, and we'll just apply some glue on the other side. think we will have to double up on the dimensionals so we get the height that we need. And we'll just add a bit of glue on this side because this is going to sit right on the other piece, so we don't want it to be going all over the place. So then I would put it about there. I can feel where the dimensionals are. Actually, I shouldn't have put double dimensionals. It's too high now. Sorry about that. It's lucky that I was able to pull that off without too much trouble. So we just need, I'm just going to put 2 on there. I really felt that I needed the extra height there, but that's okay. We were able to get it off without too much damage. And we'll just put a little bit of glue back on there. And we're just going to bring it back, the glue where, so there, that's a lot better. So you could add a piece of crumb cake through there if you wanted to, and just do a false knot just for something different to the other card. Like that. And I just like to cut them off like on a tapered, so like that, and it's just a bit different to the other one. And you can add sequins as well if you wanted to, but you can see the Flirty Flamingo colour goes really well with Merry Merlot and Night of Navy as well. So that's the 2 different cards. The only difference really is we did the false knot here, and on here I've added a few sequins. So that's card number 5, only one more to go in our series of 6 cards using the Winterwoods bundle. If I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to make contact with me. Until next time, happy crafting!